Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
This is Kentucky's Voice Radio, covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
And I am Jim Waters, welcoming you to this Tuesday edition of Kentucky's Voice, along with my co-host, Vladimir Aguilar, host of The Cuban Show, which you can find on YouTube, where it now has I saw there were over 520 show archives on there. That's amazing. That's a
3
lot
years.
You are a prolific YouTuber, and you have more than 10,000 subscribers. Welcome today to the show.
Yes.
And you want to talk about an event coming up. Let's just jump right to that.
Oh, yes. 100% sure. Thank you for having me here, like always, and ready to show.
Yeah. So go ahead with the event you wanted to.
Well, we had a meeting. We're in our guest place last Saturday about the Cuban Conservative Coalition members, meeting with some federal and local candidates ahead to the 2026 elections. And I wanted to invite the community to get more involved in politics, especially when they affect your life.
Now, were these candidates from all the races, local races? How many people showed up? Tell us more.
We had 3 candidates for the mayoral race, so the mayor of the city.
Right.
And we had a federal candidate, Michael Ferris, for the U.S. Senate.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, we'll talk more about that in a minute with our wonderful guest that we have here, and we'll introduce him in a minute. But first of all, Thomas Massie and Donald Trump, Vlad, this fight is just not going away anytime soon. So Trump had attacked Thomas Massie's new wife. You know, his wife passed away, his first wife, some few months last year, I guess. And now Donald Trump is attacking his new wife. Came out with a post saying that he's now become a liberal. That Thomas Massie has now become a liberal because of his new wife, that it was her idea to take on liberal causes, and he said this new union went all so fast. You know, he's really attacking her and attacking the marriage, and he said that perhaps a rhino, or maybe even worse, he called him. But he said Ed Galrain, a farmer and war hero running against Massie, he's a high-quality individual, and there's no candidate for Congress that could be better. He's running because he realizes Thomas Massie has been totally disloyal to the President of the United States and the Republican Party. And I'm reading this for a reason, because I'm going to talk about facts. But Trump says, and I quote, "He never votes for us. He always goes with the Democrats. Thomas Massie is a complete and total disaster. We must make sure he loses big." And now Congressman Massie tweeted that and said, so now he's attacking my wife, who voted for him 3 times. Maybe someone told him she's actually the one who suggested. I asked Pam Bondi in person at a dinner when we would get phase 2 of the Epstein files. Bondi said there were no more files. As they say, the rest is history.
It's unbelievable. Like, I don't even know what is the end of all of this.
Well, here's the thing is, Donald Trump was factually wrong, just factually wrong.
Yes.
Thomas Massie has voted with Donald Trump most of the time,
I know.
about 90% of the time, and of course, it's like a, it's like a plane crash. Okay,
Yes.
you never hear about the hundreds of flights that take off every day in this country, thousands of miles traveled through the air. As long as everybody's safe and everything is smooth, when there's a plane crash, that's when you hear about it. That's what this is.
And also I want to point something that I'm always trying to let people know, like the President of the United States doesn't win elections. The voters do.
The voters vote.
So
he wins because the voters.
So if
vote
the
him
voters,
in.
like massive voters, they want to vote for him.
Well,
I mean,
what I like about this is that Kentucky voters demonstrate the ability to have both. They went for Trump bigger than any other state,
which is kind of weird because I'm pretty 100% sure, like Massie's voters are like MAGA people.
Well, that's what I'm saying is they're able to do both. They say,
Yeah.
we want Trump, we want him in as president, we believe in his policies, he was the better candidate. But on the other hand, we're going to put Thomas Massie in there because he's consistently held the line on spending, on taxes. He's been a MAGA, he's been a big MAGA supporter. So it's just factually wrong. And Donald Trump just doesn't like it when somebody votes against him, and I get it, but you got to be factually right, and he's wrong about this. So Congressman Massey has been consistent in his stands, and he's been conservative in Kentucky, and the voters recognize both. They love Donald Trump, they love Congressman Massey, and I love this. Stay tuned for more Kentucky's Voice.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
And Jim Waters here live on the radio, 970 WGTK, as we are every weekday, 11 to noon. And you can also, this program also streams live on social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, X, and you can always rely on Vlad Aguilar, my co-host, to get a wonderful selfie. You take better selfies. I don't know how you do that. I can't take selfies like that. But
I'm a camera guy.
I'm sure he'll post one later of us and our wonderful guest, who I can't wait to have on this afternoon. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But by the way, you can also catch this show this evening on WBNA Channel 21, right here in Louisville. If you pick up the station 21, if it's on your cable subscriber list, or you're able to pick it up, listen in, watch us at 12:30, 4, and 8 o'clock p.m. today. And I want to encourage you to partner with us. Kentucky's Voice is unique in that it offers coverage and analysis of the news from a conservative, common sense, faith-based point of view. And we're not bashful about that. We're not looking for everyone to agree with us on everything, but we are looking to have this perspective heard, because a lot of times we think it isn't heard, it isn't known. So we welcome your comments, we welcome your contributions. You say, well, how can I contribute? Well, a couple of important ways. One, you can text us on the Kentucky's Voice text line at 502-571-0970. We don't make you get on the radio or on TV. But we do want to hear what you have to say, what your thoughts are, what your opinions are. And again, you can text us 502-571-0970. You can also contribute to this program with a one-time or a monthly gift by texting KY Voice to 53555. That's KY Voice to 53555. You know, we have a unique opportunity here to build a media powerhouse. I think that's needed here in Louisville, just simply for the reporting of local news and talking about local issues, Vlad. There's just so very little of that now compared to what there used to be. You know, there's very little coverage of the State House, very little coverage of what's happening locally. And I think the event you were talking about is so important, and even more important because people don't have a lot of opportunity to hear from their local lawmakers.
And that's exactly what I told my friends, because they were like, well, Vlad, you can talk for us. I say, no. Each one of you guys, you need to go there and talk to the candidates by yourself.
And, you know, I think there's a tendency to think, well, Trump has won, the conservatives are in power in Kentucky and in Congress, so we can let down. We don't need to keep the pedal to the metal. But I'll tell you, there's going to be a midterm election this year. We're going to have a gubernatorial election next year. We're going to have a U.S. Senate race this year to replace Senator Mitch McConnell, who's not running for re-election and has held that seat for over 40 years. There's a lot going going on here. And that's the criticism I have sometimes of conservatives. They tend to wait until things turn, until things do get bad.
No.
Well, while the left is already out there proactive. So I think we need to be proactive. I mean,
They never rest. You
That's
can
right.
have that like 100% sure.
That's right.
They never rest.
You know, folks, I like the IU football team and their coach. You know why? Because he said no complacency.
Yep.
Even when they scored a touchdown, even when they won, until they won that ultimate championship, there was no letting down. It was pedal to the metal, baby, all the way to the finish line. Right now, conservatism, populism is on the rise, conservative populism. But there's going to come a time, as we know from our history, when the pendulum is going to swing. The political pendulum is going to swing back the other way. When that happens, what do you do? What you do today, what you give today, what you invest today will make it possible for us to be here when that pendulum swings and to be a voice that cannot be silenced by politicians, by the left, by anybody. So I invite you to partner with us today. It's an entirely listener-supported show. Very simply, text KY Voice to 53555. Also, text us about your thoughts about the show today, about any of the issues we discussed, any of the ideas that we put out there. The number is 502-571-0970. We do have a text that came in. We're going to answer that pretty soon. But coming up on the show today, we have a very special guest joining us. Haler Corrales has a harrowing story of escape from communist Cuba, and he's here right now in Louisville, and he'll join us to talk about his journey from communism and the desperation it brings to America and the freedom and opportunities that he is finding here. It's so exciting to hear this. We have such a great Cuban community, and that's one of the reasons why it's so great to have Vlad Aguilar on as my co-host today. Well, Vlad, let's take a look at some of the developments in the news recently. Yeah. You know, it's amazing what a serious discussion about contempt charges by the House Oversight Committee can accomplish. After initially refusing to testify, former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said yesterday that they have finally agreed to meet with members of the House Oversight Committee. There is a Kentucky connection here. Of course, the committee is chaired by 1st District Congressman, U.S. Congressman James Comer, who is the chairman of that district, and he's been pushing for them to come in and testify as part of the investigation into the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Their announcement came days before the House planned to vote on whether to fine the pair in contempt of Congress for refusing to sit for closed-door transcribed depositions with the committee regarding Epstein. You remember Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro both went to jail for 4 months because they refused to come in and testify, and they were held in contempt. So that's the path the Clintons were headed down. When they found out that the Oversight Committee was serious about this, they said, we'll come in and we'll do it. And so we'll see how all that works out. Here's a story from Louisville as well. The LMPD K-9 unit bites a suspect during arrest. Did you hear about this? No. A man wanted on 2 felonies is in the hospital after being bitten by a Louisville Metro Police K-9 during a SWAT standoff. It happened over the weekend on Saturday. LMPD's violent crime unit conducted surveillance around 4 p.m. on a repeat violent crime offender in the 8200 block of Blue Lick Road. 40-year-old Daniel Thorpe was wanted on 2 felony complaint warrants for escape and stalking. Louisville Metro Police Department said following an extended standoff that Thorpe told the officers they would, quote, have to kill him, end quote, before he came out. An LMPD K-9 unit was eventually used to help him come out, to help take the 40-year-old into custody. Thorpe was then taken to U of L Hospital to receive treatment for a dog bite injury that occurred as he was arrested. Ouch.
And I'm assuming he's going to sue the police now?
Yeah, probably. Don't give him any ideas. Turning Point USA has confirmed that the All-American Halftime Show, as they're calling the alternative to Bad Bunny's performance during this Sunday's Super Bowl, will feature Kid Rock, Brantley Gilbert, Lee Brice, and Gabby Barrett. Barrett, I think is how that is pronounced. The show will air at 8 p.m. right here on WBNA Channel 21. It's the alternative to the Bad Bunny halftime show. Conservatives are boycotting this woke disaster of a Super Bowl halftime show featuring Bad Bunny because he's a radical lefty who's trashed President Trump's tough immigration policies and ICE heroes, struts around in drag, pushing the LGBTQ agenda down our throats, refuses to tour here, fearing his fans might face rightful deportation, and belts out mostly Spanish songs that feel feel
but-
like a slap in the face to our English-speaking tradition.
Yeah, and taking politics away. Who say that guy sings?
Well, that's
who
right.
say that.
That's what I was going to ask.
Who say
you was,
that?
Forget all of that. Can he sing? I have to say though, I'm not sure about this pick of Kid Rock. This is kind of getting trashed on social media as well. Although keep in mind that tends to be a left crowd on social media. So they're probably not. They're probably already kind of talking about him. He's like 50s now, so it's like they're kind of mentioning his age.
Yeah.
Nobody's mentioning Bad Bunny's age, but I blame mostly Roger Goodell, by the way, the NFL commissioner, for all of this. He wouldn't bend on this at all. And so my question is, why can't they get somebody who everybody pretty much likes, is patriotic, doesn't hate our country, loves our country? I mean, is that really asking too much?
And Super Bowl is one of the most American signs of the new era. So,
and they've had some great performers in recent years. They had Billy Joel a few years ago. It's great performance. So anyhow, I think he's just looking for attention, and of course the NFL is trying to reach a younger audience anyhow. So I think this is part of their reasoning. But anyhow, coming up later in the show today, we'll look at the bills that have been filed and moving in Frankfurt that have passed at least one house, either the House or Senate, as the 2026 General Assembly is now in its third full week there in Frankfurt. But first, coming up, Haler Corrales may be in Louisville now, but his journey started elsewhere in Cuba, communist Cuba. And Heller is with us today, joining us with a story about how he escaped communism in Castro's Cuba, what he hopes to accomplish as an American, and perhaps a warning or two for Americans who may be becoming a little enamored with socialism. He might have some thoughts about that for us, and been reading his book, From Havana to Lamona. What a story this is. I highly recommend it, and I hope you'll pick it up, and Vlad, I'm excited about having Haler on in our next segment.
of course, he's my close friend.
And we want to hear from you, 502-571-0970, our Kentucky's Voice text line. We'll get to your text later in the show today. And hey, folks, we are listener supported. You can support us by texting KY Voice to 53555. And let me say this: if you have a business out there, you want to reach a conservative, loyal audience, right here live on the radio each day or on television each afternoon and evening, let me know. You can email me at jim.waters@kyvoice.org. Give me a call at 270-320-4376, or just text me at 502-571-0970 on our Kentucky's Voice text line. Stay tuned. Coming up, our great guest right here on Kentucky's Voice. Don't go away.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
Well, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice here, our Kentucky Voice text line at 502-571-0970. Today, we have got a real hero in the studio here on this Tuesday edition. And thanks, by the way, for joining us and for staying with us here. And it's gonna pay off. You're gonna be rewarded because we have a real hero here who's someone who's actually lived through the nightmare of communism and risked everything to escape it. Our guest today is Haler Corrales, a Cuban native who fled the oppressive regime in Havana back in 2016. And his book, I've been reading this, From Havana to Lamona, tells about the grueling and harrowing journey he made through multiple countries, really, facing swamps and human traffickers and unimaginable dangers and whatnot. But Haler made it to the U.S., and he's now thriving here in freedom and glad to be here. I know that. But he's the author of this memoir, From Havana to Lamona, An Escape to Freedom. You can find it on Amazon and Kindle. I've got the Kindle copy. This details his awakening from indoctrination and his path to liberty. Well, Haler, welcome to the show. I've been really looking forward to this. Thanks for joining us today, coming by and sharing your story with our viewers and our listeners. Let's start at the beginning. What was life like growing up under the Castro regime in Cuba? Give our viewers a real sense of what that was like.
Well, thank you for that introduction that I'm absolutely certain that I don't deserve. But yeah, well, this is a really interesting question because not everybody will tell you exactly what it's like, the process. So when you grow up in Cuba, you're in a lie since you're born. So they will tell you, the government and all these structures will tell you what you have to do, what you have to love, what you have to respect. So that's why it was such a shock for me when I woke up from that nightmare, most like. So growing up is pretty much learning how to be indoctrinated, learning how to follow an only truth that is not a truth, is a lie. And you will be told that lie everywhere. You will be told that lie in school, neighborhoods, family, because, your family is also indoctrinated. They are asking you to love Fidel Castro. They are asking you to love all the rebels from the Sierra Maestra.
Yeah, your grandfather, you talk about a little bit about that,
Yeah.
your family, and
Yes.
how, we're talking here about family here.
Absolutely.
Being indoctrinated, brainwashed, really.
Yes,
it seemed
absolutely.
like, really conditioned. You were so conditioned to obey, if you will.
That's correct.
The regime.
My grandfather, which I love dearly, he was always connected to the regime. He worked in the actual system as a Ministerio del Interior, which is pretty much like the interior ministry, the police. He was not directly, physically repressing, but he was part of it. I'm not gonna make it beautiful.
Well, there were different kinds of repression here too,
Yeah.
and as I read your story, the psychological repression was
always present.
Sometimes as bad as anything physically, right?
That is correct.
Yeah,
and it is something that is so connected to everyday's life. For example, when I graduated, I stayed working in the university as a professor, and I was just doing everything okay for several months. The first time that I failed to deliver some task, they reduced my salary to less than half. It's just, they're just looking for something that you are going to do so they can repress you physically and emotionally. So it's everywhere. You don't really trust anybody because anybody can be a spy from the government.
Yeah, and you talk about how things are supposedly free in Cuba, right? Healthcare, education, and yet they're really not free. Talk about that.
Oh, yeah. That is something that I really like to share with my fellow Americans, because I hear a lot people praising the educational system, the healthcare system in Cuba, the free healthcare system, and I encourage all of them to take a look at our hospitals down in Cuba, our schools. They are in ruins. They are destroyed, and they are not schools. They are indoctrination centers. So they don't teach kids math, physics, all that kind of subjects. They are just teaching them what they have to do, and they are supposedly teaching them to think instead of, giving them the tools to think for themselves.
Let's stop there for a minute, because you know what that sounds like, what's happening here, or attempts to do that here, where our kids, 2 out of 3 of our kids now in Kentucky are not proficient in reading and math. And yet we have all of these other agendas, the social agendas, the some of the cultural propagandizing type things. But, the truth is, and we want people to know what their culture is, obviously where they came from, but you can't really think for yourself unless you read, unless you can read, right? Unless you can comprehend what you read. Are you concerned about that, what you're seeing where maybe there's not enough emphasis on the actual educating, we're getting over into some of these areas?
As a natural thing, I'm absolutely concerned. Just because the more I look around, the more I see some things that remind me of what we had in Cuba. Mm-hmm. So that's why after I read my book for the first time, I realized, like, wow, this is kind of a nice way. I mean, I'm not trying to be arrogant, but this is kind of a nice way for those who are talking about things that they have never experienced. If they read this and see, well, this is a real life situation, real life story. This is what happens if I keep thinking the way I'm thinking right now without actually experiencing what socialism is.
And that point's been brought up. It was actually brought up by our vice president, I think, who said, when you haven't experienced it, so a lot of young people today have not experienced certain things and have not seen that, really lived through some of the things we saw in the Soviet Union and in other communist countries. They haven't really seen that. So there's this idealistic view of socialism, but it's not realistic, is what you're saying.
It's absolutely not realistic. So just to give you an idea, I actually risked my life. I was in the middle of the ocean. The waves were enormous because I did not want to keep living in a socialism system. I did not want to keep listening to people telling me what to do. And that's what is going to happen if that kind of things are not, like, these kind of stories are not shared, so they can see what you're doing is going to take us all to this point. I risked my life. My mom didn't even know where I was, but I just couldn't live anymore like that, so I have to escape.
Yeah, we're going to talk. Let's talk a little more about that story. Well, we got a minute and a half here. That was a dangerous journey, wasn't it, from Cuba to here?
It was definitely. I was kind of I don't know. It was like kind of autopilot.
And you left in 2016, right?
That is correct.
So you were what, 30s?
I was 30, yes.
30 years old. So, you weren't a young person. I mean, you really were kind of in the middle of your thinking and career there. And I got the feeling from your book that if you'd waited much longer, there were opportunities to wait and not make this decision. And you were afraid that might end up defining the rest of your life.
Yes. What happened is that I opened my eyes when I was in college. So when I opened my eyes, I felt like this was only going to take me to oppose to the regime and to start doing things and start doing activism. And that's why I was like, if I stay here, I'm going to end up in jail. I know that for sure.
Well, our co-host Vlad Aguilar knows about a thing or two about escaping Cuba, and you got a comment or two. We've got about 30 seconds here.
I can say I totally understand Haler history, because all the Cubans, we got something similar in our life. We all make a trip to achieve freedom.
That's a great point. But great to have Haler Corrales with us today as our guest. And we're going to hear more about his story coming up on Kentucky's Voice, and along with my co-host, Vlad Aguilar. 502-571-0970. If you have a question for Haler, let us know right here on Kentucky's Voice. Don't you dare go away.
Back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
Welcome back to the program today. Thanks for staying with us. 502-571-0970 is our Kentucky's Voice text line. I'm Jim Waters, along with Vlad Aguilar, who's co-hosting with me today, and our special guest in the studio, Haler Corrales, a Cuban native who fled the oppressive regime of Fidel Castro and Havana back in 2016. You know, that's the year he died.
Yes.
You left. He died in 2016,
Yeah.
and his family, his brother, and there wasn't any change, was there, in the communist regime there? There was
Yes.
just a change in personnel.
Jim, this is why it's so important to let people know what's going on down there.
Yeah.
So that justifies this idea of U.S. helping the Cuban people. Because we're just talking about legality of if we can do it, if what happened in Venezuela is legal or not. But do you know what's going on in Cuba? Do you know what this is going to do to the real Cuban people? So yeah, the expectation of people of a change in Cuba, I do not 100% agree with that, because we definitely need help. And this is something that has been going on for a long time. The communist government of Cuba is not going to leave. They need to be forced. They need to be pressured.
You know, I wondered about this, your perspective on Venezuela, because, at one time, unlike Cuba, Venezuela is one of the wealthier countries in the hemisphere, in the region. And after the communist ideology really took control of the country, you ended up having folks who had lived a middle-class lifestyle digging through the garbage dumps, trying to feed their families. And yet in Cuba, it's been poverty for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. So what would it take? What would it take for a change? What would it take?
I mean, this is just a humble personal opinion. But for me, I think that, like I said, we need help. Second, we will need more help, because we don't really need how to be free. You know what I mean? It's not just get there and say, hey, communists, you can leave, and we're going to take over, and we're going to go ahead and have elections, and we're going to have everything worked out. It's unfortunately, it's not going to happen like that. At the same time, I think it's going to be a bit different from Venezuela. I usually call communism is a cancer. It happened, and it's a cancer that Cubans are exporting, are taking into other nations.
Right.
Look at Chile, look at Venezuela. It's also in Colombia. It's reaching Mexico. And for those that say that Cuba is not a threat for the U.S., just do a little bit of research. Just look a little bit in the history, and you will know what's going on, and you will see how dangerous Cuba is for the USA. So yeah, it will take a lot of work.
Well, actually, I'm glad you point that way, because we just got an article right there on Twitter, X, former Twitter, pointing that most of the people we are seeing involved in the protest today are trained back in Cuba, and that's part of the threat Cuba is to America.
But guys, the ironic thing is, there's this young people here don't understand that are protesting. If they protested in Cuba, what would happen?
They're going to jail.
All right, yeah. So we had a really big, spontaneous protest in 2021, July 2021. So what happened after 2 days of protest? First of all, the government did not expect that, because people are so afraid. And why are they afraid? Because they will be put in jail. So that's what happened. Not only in jail, the police actually shot directly to unarmed people. So that's what is going to happen. You're going to disappear. Your mom won't see you one day on bed, and you will never know where your son, your husband is, which is actually something that happened. Even underage kids, they are in jail as we speak right now. We're talking about over 1,000 political prisoners, and it is true. I remember Raúl Castro laughing in Obama's face, saying, "We don't have political prisoners." And and it's just so
Show me
many
the
lies.
list. Show me the list.
Yes,
He said that.
we do have political prisoners, and we have way more than 1,000.
Yes.
And no telling what's happening to them behind bars during that time too. Lots of things.
Yep.
Bad things.
Yeah, I can figure what
You
what they-
came. So you came here in 2016, right? And you came, of course. You didn't have any papers. You didn't have any immigration documents. Tell us about that and kind of your journey in becoming, I guess, a legal immigrant.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say this. I love America. I respect America, and I will always be appreciative of America. USA had this Adjustment Act that as a Cuban, and the reason behind that is not because Cubans are special. The reason behind that is because of the communism and the repression in Cuba. So as a Cuban citizen, if you stepped on American soil, that was before 2017 because Obama canceled that in 2017, January 2017. As a Cuban citizen, if you step on American soil, you could apply for a residency. But of course, you have to get to American soil. And that is the challenge.
Right.
And that's why I went through all this crazy journey from Havana to La Mona. La Mona, by the way, is an island in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico being territory from the U.S. is American soil. So that was not the initial idea, but I ended up there through human traffickers, people with guns.
And you were in the ocean. You said, "Tell us what happened."
Oh my God,
what
yes.
happened? Just pick it up there.
I remember one moment that I was in the middle of the ocean. We ran out of gas, and that channel, which is called El Canal de la Mona, the La Mona Channel, is so dangerous because it's the Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea just fighting each other. Not even the Navy gets there because it's just too dangerous. And I was in the middle of the ocean, and I used to talk to God and say, there has to be a moment that this is going to calm down. These waves are no longer going to be this big. And I realized that was not going to happen. So I tend to scratch my teeth when I'm really nervous. I almost break my teeth from that situation. So that was leaving from Dominican Republic into La Mona, which should be just in a regular boat, should be maybe 30 minutes. It took us 2 days to get there. We ran out of gas in the middle of the ocean. We almost, the people before us, they died, they drowned before getting to La Mona. So that's how dangerous the whole situation
So you ran
is.
out of gas. How did you finally?
So what we did is that we still had a little bit, but we realized that was not going enough to get there. So we went back to Dominican Republic to a desert island. We spent the night there, and the guys, they took the little gas that we had left to go back to the big island to get more gas. So we didn't know, after being so terrified with what we saw, we didn't know if they even were going to come back.
But then when you they came back. And
They came back.
And you had to cross that again.
We had to go all the way back there.
Yeah. It's quite a story, man.
Yeah,
really
yeah,
is. And thank you for what you said about our country. We have, of course, a big disagreement going on right now about immigration, and we've got a lot of drama about this. I have found in my experience that folks who are here legally or have gone through the process of becoming a legal migrant favor the law, favor keeping the law. But like you said, you got here, and then you, because of the allowance for you, if you made it to American soil, you could have residency, right? So
Yeah.
Did that help you?
Absolutely. Yeah. I believe there's a bunch of things that could be better, that can be rearranged in immigration. I'm not an immigration analyst or an immigration specialist, but
does it bother you to see people that don't care really about this country? I mean,
absolutely.
And yet they want to come and they want to have access to our resources. To
whoever don't care about this country and whoever don't love this country should not be here.
Well, we've got a couple of minutes left. We're just so delighted to have Haler Corrales with us today, who escaped from communist Cuba. Haler, tell us, you've got a business here. I want to give you a couple of minutes to give a shout out to your folks here in your business. I know your mother's here too,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And tell us Tell us about that.
Well, I have a restaurant. This is my American dream.
Yeah.
Because I think American dream can be perceived as opportunities. I came to the U.S. looking for freedom and looking for opportunities, even if it is absolutely successful or just average successful. My American dream is meeting my lovely wife, having my kid. My mom is here with me too, and we have a business. So we have opportunities, and we're just trying to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a restaurant. The name is El Cimarrón. It's a tribute to my ancestors from Africa, and also it's a tribute to freedom because El Cimarrón is slaves back in Cuba running away from plantations to become free. So that's my tribute to my ancestors, and it's also, I believe the Cimarrones were the first free Cubans in my heart, even when they came from Africa. So I have that restaurant. It's I'm trying to tell the story that not a lot of Cuban tells about, that part of our history.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's Bardstown Road. El Cimarrón Cuban restaurant.
Cuban restaurant, Cuban food, right there on Bardstown. Give
Absolutely.
the address.
And
What's
my
the
mommy is the chef.
Oh my!
She does a really
Yeah.
nice brisket. My goodness.
And where's and give us the address.
It's 3425 Bardstown Road,
And it's
across from Costco and Chick-fil-A area.
Yeah, it's not far off the Waterson, right there off the Waterson.
And they
inside.
also have the best
Outside.
coffee. Actually, one of the followers is asking me what's the name for that coffee because they got it last Saturday.
Cuban coffee, baby.
Cuban coffee
Yeah.
is the name of that coffee.
Well, hey, folks, if you want to read more about Haler's journey here, and that's basically this book tells his journey from Havana to Lamona and escape to freedom. It's amazing. We don't build walls here to keep people in like they do in Cuba and other countries. We build them. We have to build them to keep people out. Otherwise, everybody wants to come here. It's a free place. But thanks so much. Best of luck to you and your
Absolutely.
business.
Thank you.
Thanks for showing up. We'll have you on again, and we'll talk more. But God bless. Have a great rest of the day. And you stay with us. We've got one more segment. We're going to talk about bills that have passed at least one house of the Kentucky General Assembly. Don't go away.
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
And thanks for staying with us for the final segment today of Kentucky's Voice. And I'm your host, Jim Waters, along with my co-host, Vlad Aguilar today. And Vlad, what a great interview we had there with Haler.
I'm always loving when a Cuban can share their history to other people.
And you know, folks, Louisville has a strong conservative Cuban community.
Yes, and actually, we are trying to work a little more on that with the Cuban American Conservative Coalition, because we just had that meeting last weekend. I don't know if they can put those pictures on the screen, and people love it. You know, I got so many people requesting, like, hey, when this happen, how we can just achieve these meetings, you know, because I feel people are concerned about what's going on in the city, and they want to speak out about it.
Right. So that's the purpose of this the Cuban American Conservative Coalition, which you're helping lead that. If folks want to get involved, what can they do?
Well, they can just search for the Cuban American Conservative Coalition Facebook page. They can send me a message, like private message, but also you can text to the 502-777-1267, and you can ask me, like, what's the process to join us?
Well, we're at 502-571-0970 is our Kentucky's Voice text number, and lots of texts coming in today. And Vlad, I think Haler's story really touched the nerve with some of our listeners today, and in particular what their families experienced. This off our text line. He said, "My grandfather fled the Bolsheviks at age 19, became a proud U.S. citizen, fought in World War I in the Argonne Forest. The history of immigrants that want to be American citizens needs to be taught in our public schools. Democrats are promoting oppression."
Yes.
So
100%.
all they hear about is the folks who are wanting to storm in here, who don't love this country, who don't want to assimilate, who don't believe in our values or our traditions.
And I'm always saying, like, immigration without integration, it's an invasion. 100%. And just to point the fact that people are afraid to support Trump publicly, that's kind of like oppression too.
So immigration without assimilation is
invasion. Yeah. They invade in this country. 100%.
That's right, and I like it. You know, I think what we saw during the election of Donald Trump that you touched on just there is you saw a silent majority for him who didn't want to admit it because there was such a cancel culture, such an oppressive, repressive response by the Hollywood types and the leftists and the coastal elites. And I think we're getting bolder now, but you know, don't you think that's true? I think when people actually went in and pulled that lever or cast that vote, they said, who's really best for our country?
Yes. And also, in the same way, I want to let people know, like, if you are afraid to wearing like a hat or something in America, or I'll say like any kind of like merchandise in favor of a candidate or a policy, and if you are afraid of that, check. That's what happens back in Cuba, back in the Soviet Union, and in all those communist countries. You know, people start to feel afraid about expressing their ideas, and that's how that starts.
Well, thanks. We'd love to hear from you, 502-571-0970, especially if it has to do with today's show or something you've heard today that you agree with or have a comment with. We'll try to get it in here before the show's over with. 502-571-0970. This off our text line from yesterday that we didn't get to. In late the question is, are they still giving illegal immigrants driver's licenses at the Kentucky Department of Motor Vehicles? And just to set this up, as you know, last year, a major fraud investigation revealed that a small number of state driver's license office employees had been illegally selling fraudulent licenses to individuals, some of whom were undocumented immigrants, in return for cash. State officials have said this was the result of an illegal scheme by temporary employees, and that there had been no change in the state law. I would hope you would have to say that. But
Well, actually, someone just filed a bill to request
we're getting
immigration
this-
status.
Right, so House Bill 70.
Yeah.
Representative John Hodgson, who's on this program a lot, from Fisherville, officially, he has filed the bill that would require that the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet include a notation on all new and renewed operators' licenses, personal ID cards, and commercial driver's licenses showing whether the holder is a U.S. citizen or a non-citizen authorized to be in the U.S.
Yeah.
That requirement would take place next January 1st in 2027. The legislation would require Kentucky driver's licenses and state-issued identification cards to clearly indicate the holder's citizenship status. Hodgson said that several other states like Kansas, Florida, Tennessee, they're considering similar measures. He said civic duties like voting and serving on a jury are reserved only for citizens, and we need the common sense measure to help people follow the law.
And
How about
I'll
that? Let's
100%
follow the
support
law.
that bill.
We are a nation of laws, folks.
Yeah.
Like it or not. We're a
And
nation
he got
of laws.
another bill that he just pushed too about the non-born U.S. citizen holding office.
Yeah. Well, let me rent. I want to. He did right, and I don't have that bill
Yeah.
number in front of me. But
Actually, I got it in my phone if you want to read it
well,
out. Because
we look it up there. But while you're doing that, let me give a few examples of bills that have recently passed one chamber and are now in the other. Senate Bill 1 shifts certain powers from the Jefferson County Public Schools Board to the superintendent. It passed the Senate 29-7. Folks, this is not going to fix JCPS, okay? This is not going to do it. The voters have to stand up and say, these school board members who are being heavily supported by the teachers' unions, they have to go. We have to find the right candidates. The superintendents here have been as big a part of the problem as the boards have been. The superintendents are focused on pleasing the boards, not on educating our students. It's a sham. This district is a mess, and it is in chaos. It spends over $2 billion taxpayer dollars each year, twice what the Louisville Metro Council budget is. And so we need serious fixes here. We need choices for parents. We need real accountability here. I'm not convinced this is going to do it. I think this is a Band-Aid. It might do some good for a temporary period of time, but it's not the answer. Senate Bill 3 requires school districts to post financial reports online for greater transparency. Now, I do believe this could, bring some accountability to spending here. For example, how does a school district that has a $2+ billion budget, how do they end up in a $188 million shortfall? We have to close schools. We have to cut out services. I mean, come on. I mean, we still don't know how that happened. You know,
I'm paying for a sign on the highway.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so we don't know. And yet the press doesn't ask these questions. All they assume is that we have a deficit and that, we got to find a way to make up this deficit. But we better understand how we got there in the first place so we don't do it again. Those who ignore history and don't understand it are doomed to repeat
And trust me, we pay for it. I don't know if
right.
you got your property tax already, but mine increasing $600.
And here's a school district that increased taxes
Yeah.
during the pandemic.
Yes.
While the schools were closed.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
There
And
we
then
go.
they get by with it. They get by with it. And this is a failure of a school district. And don't give me this garbage about, well, don't you ever say anything good about our public schools? You know what? When something good happens, I'll say it.
Yep.
But 2 out of 3 of our kids not being educated and ready for college, no, that's not it. Deficit spending when you have $2 billion budget, larger than the whole Metro Council, that's not it. Give me some good news to talk about, and we will. But until then, we're going to confront the problems. That's what we're about. Hiding our head in the sand is not going to work. And this new superintendent better get with the music here.
You can get emotional, but facts
That's right.
are facts.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
And too many decisions have been made on emotion, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't want my school to close. Yeah, but when was the last time you showed up to vote against that school board member supported by the union who's not educating your kids? You're responsible too. Everybody is. House Bill 84 makes local governments liable for riot damages if
Love
they're
that.
preventable. This passed 89-6 in the House, 89-6. So in other words, Jefferson County, are you listening? Louisville, are you listening? Lexington, are you listening? These liberal woke areas. If you could have prevented the damage, then you're going to be liable for the damage.
Do you remember back in 2020 how many businesses in downtown they have to leave? You know,
And then they come back and say, oh, you're not, look at our downtown. You're not properly funding it. No, you allowed it to happen.
Yeah.
You allowed it. You know, I'm really tired of this passing the buck stuff on to somebody else and not accepting responsibility. So that's House Bill 84. House Bill 3 requires Medicaid companies, or requires Medicaid, rather, to comply with pharmacy reimbursement rules. That passed the House 93-0. And now it's in the Senate, 93-0. If you could get anything done in Frankfurt, 93-0, it's probably something good or that needed to be done. Other bills that have passed, House Bill 34, an act relating to death benefits. Passing in the House are acts related to programs administered by the Department of Agriculture, program related to sexual assault nurse examiners, fiduciary bonds, motor vehicle titles, coverage for hearing aids or related services, health savings account qualified insurance plans. Let's see, in the Senate, we mentioned some of those already. An act proposing, by the way, to amend the Constitution to limit the governor's ability to grant pardons to 90 days before the election, which I am for. I'm for this. It does not need to be a political move here, and they don't need to use that in that way. I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat. Anyhow, there's other bills, but and by the way, we want to mention House Bill, I believe it's 88, House Bill 88, that would opt Kentucky into the school choice program that's in the one big beautiful bill. That our governor can't seem to get the name of it right.
And I love that. You know why? Because it's given to the parents the choice,
which
to,
we've wanted, tried to do here.
Yes.
But because of
Yes.
the courts and the liberal left and the unions, but guess what? Good news, you can't stop this. The teachers union can't stop this bill. This is a federal bill. You can't stop it. Get used to it. The Kentucky families are going to have educational freedom, and they're going to have it this session thanks to Representative T.J. Roberts. Quickly, that bill, did you find the number on that?
Yeah, well, I don't have the number, but I have the bill. You got it on your phone, and it's saying like any immigrant who didn't, I mean, if he's an immigrant, didn't born in the U.S., they cannot run for office unless they have 18 years of citizenship.
Yeah, very good. They have to be citizens.
Yeah.
Right? All right. Well, great. That hour's gone by too fast, folks. Great. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks to our guests, but thanks mostly to you. You are Kentucky's voice. Let us hear from you. 502-571-0970. Support us. Text KY Voice to 53555. Catch us on WBNA Channel 21 at 12:30, 4 and 8 today. God bless. Have a great rest of the day.